Vince here from Baseball and Whatever. Do you like sports? Do you feel your current sporting news provider isn't giving you enough? If you answered yes to both of those, and I hope not out loud, go check out Belly Up Sports Network at bellyupsports.com. They have news articles and podcasts covering a wide variety of sports topics, from baseball to NASCAR. Belly Up Sports, for all your sporting news needs.
The name is whatever. Baseball and whatever that is. He is Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV. You can hear him on the Bears Blast from the Past, our little mini pod that airs on Sundays. And oh man, does Vinnie have some Bear stuff prepared for you for later, but we'll get to that. I am Greg Probst.
Good.
I am. Oh, see, there's a little spoiler alert for you, but it's going to be fun. Like I said, I am Greg Probst. I am the Boomer and Bond fan of this podcast. Absent today is Justin. He is having internet issues at his residence in Manhattan. 123 Fake Street, I believe, is the address. So we thought maybe we should postpone, but Justin was like, no, the show must go on. So here we are. Vinny, I think the last time you and I were together was for Justin's birthday episode. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Or we recorded without him. We excluded him and we just made fun of him at his expense on his birthday. So it was a lot of fun, but either way, here we are. This is Baseball and Whatever. Follow us on Twitter at Baseball and What. Email the show at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Instagram, Facebook, and of course, this podcast is part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. Visit them at bellyupsports.com. Whereas Justin, he is better than this stuff than I am, but I'm doing my best here, folks. You can also text the show at 913-808-3278 or 808-FART. Ooh, absolutely. So send in those texts. This is episode 38 of our regular kind of podcast, excluding the mini pods or consider them slimed. So 38s. Do you have any 38s? I thought of one Bears 38. That is all I can think of.
One Bears 38.
That is all I had. So, and that's a little bit more recent. That was Adrian Amos. Okay. That's the one I had. So
maybe not the most famous one. Daniel Manning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember Daniel Manning. All right.
Peyton Gibson right now is 38.
Okay.
Before that, it's a bunch of no names. Yeah, and Pretzel Vince made sure to make fun of me when I've been doing my blast from the past. I've been getting a lot of names wrong on there. I said Virgil Livers. It's spelled Livers. It's Livers.
Livers?
So, Virgil Livers, I think, or unless I'm butchering it again.
Well, in your defense, Vinny, I'm sure he's been called Livers, by mistake and on purpose most of his life. So,
yep. As Pretzel Vince was berating me on the names, and Bob Avellini, I believe, is the other one I was butchering. He proceeded to get the name Kanye wrong. He called him Cayenne. So
Cayenne Pepper West.
Yes. Yeah. So if he's going to berate anybody, maybe you should look in the mirror. But I digress.
For the White Sox, I thought of a couple catchers. 38. Obviously, he's not 38 anymore. But Zach Collins, when he was first called up, I kind of wish he would disappear. Omar Narvaez turned himself into a pretty nice catcher and an all-star after he left the White Sox. And then, we were talking about Drake LaRoche the other day, and congrats to Drake on getting married and everything. But I remember that year, that's when we had like Adam LaRoche and Todd Frazier, and then Jimmy Rollins showed up. And I believe 38 that year was 2016. I believe we tried to bring Matt Latos back from the dead. Correct. So So there's a disappointing 38 for you on the but on the world championship '05 White Sox, Pablo Ozuna. And then before he was sought after free agent and trade target Eduardo Escobar.
Yeah.
Those are the 38s that come to memory for the White Sox. You got any other ones, Vinny?
Yeah, we got Neil Kotz.
Really? Okay, that must have been before because he was 46.
2003.
Okay, yeah, that was before the World Series. All right. Good shout there. I don't remember that.
Jason Bourgeois. Such a fun name.
Oh,
2008.
Oh, man. I forgot all about that. Oh, mercy.
Is it Jaime Navarro or it's not Jamie Navarro?
We called him Jamie. Yeah, it was always Jamie Navarro, but I think it might have been Jaime. I think that'd be the correct pronunciation, but we were just we're just like stupid Americans. We're just going Jamie. So.
Gary Glover.
2003. Yeah, I remember Gary Glover. I don't remember being 38, but yeah, no, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, there's not too many. Frank Bauman back in the 60s, 60 to 64.
Nope.
No,
nope.
I don't know if he was a famous White Sox. Yeah, I don't not too many. Michael Jackson in 2004.
Really? Okay. Oh man,
that impression.
that was spot on. That was great. And then for the Cubs, I had two obvious ones, two pitchers.
Okay.
Do you think you know who they are?
I have the answers in front of me.
Or do you think you know who I'm thinking of?
I know you're thinking of one of them. Let me check the list here. I don't know. I know you're gonna get one of them, probably both of them actually. Now that I just caught the other one, yeah.
So the two I'm thinking of is, of course, longtime pitcher Carlos Zambrano, and the man who was on the hill for the Cubs in 2016 when they won the World Series, Mike Montgomery.
Yes,
correct. Those are the two I was thinking of. I do not know. I can't think of any other 38 on the Cubs.
Brad Wick.
Currently?
Maldonado, yes. Currently. Okay. He's listed as the last 38. So
gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's currently 38. Yes.
There we go.
Martin Maldonado, Jacob Turner, Rick Aguilera, Mike Morgan, Jaime Navarro from 95 to 96.
Oh.
Jose Bautista from 93 to 94, not the current.
Not Joey Bats.
Nope. Let's see here. Am I missing anybody that's... Nope.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's literally all I could think of. So those are our 38s. You got any for the Bulls or Blackhawks? I know Justin's not here, but we can shout out his 38s.
Blackhawks are better than the Bulls. There's one 38. There's a lot of like dead numbers in the Bulls organization, I feel like. But one person, Victor, I'm going to butcher this last name.
Here we go.
I'm going to have to look.
Justin is screaming in his microphone right now.
It's a Bulls player. Victor.
Never mind.
Kriapa. From 07 to 08, Victor Kriapa.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell.
He's not weak, that's for sure.
Okay.
But for the Blackhawks, we have Brandon Hagel from 2020 to 22.
Okay.
Ryan Hartman, longtime Blackhawk, 15 to 18. Brian Bicklewart from 07 to 08.
All right. I know Brian Bickle. Okay.
Yep. That's about it. And then James Black from 96 to 98 would probably be the...
Justin would probably know, wouldn't probably know him. Yeah, he probably knows that.
That's it.
Those Our Chicago 38, some great on that list, most not. So, like I said, we are baseball and whatever. We have a lot to get to today. We had a show plan, but since Justin's not here, we're going to take a lot of that and save it for next week because it kind of involves his participation to make it work. Otherwise, it'd just be destroying Vinnie for the last part of the episode. But we'll get to that next week. But really quick, so I think we've officially reached the longest MLB instituted lockout. I think today we currently sit at 42 days. They were meeting today, I believe, and I don't think many people were getting along. I think they tried to negotiate player, or at least 2+ player minimums. I don't think the Players Association, the MLBPA, like that very much. And then they negotiated one other big thing. I think it was probably the free agency years, which I know MLB probably does not want to budge on. So, not making too much progress at all. It doesn't seem like. So the meeting just seemed to turn out to be a total turd today. So yeah, great news. Yeah, exactly. That times a million. But we'll end our intro on something positive. I wanted to shout out some of the women in baseball that have been coming to the news more recently in the past week. Starting off with Rachel Balkovic. I think that's how you say your name. Anyway, she is the new manager of the low A Tampa Tarpons in the Yankees organization, officially becoming the first female manager in affiliated professional baseball. So shout out to her. Genevieve Beacom, 17-year-old pitcher from the Melbourne Aces in Australia, pitching professional ball at 17 years old, rocking a Bugs Bunny curveball and a mid-80s fastball. That's what my fastball was when I was that age. So,
what is a Bugs Bunny curveball?
So they're kind of comparing it because her curveball has a huge, and I watched the video on this, it had a huge slope like that. So if you think of like Looney Tunes when they be playing baseball, like maybe Elmer Fudd would be up to bat or something. Yeah. Like the ball would go and then just stop, and then he'd like swing 4 times, spin himself in the dirt, and then just burn past him. So obviously doesn't do that because that would be amazing, but it does kind of have that really big swoop to it. Okay. That I think she's thrown it like 72 miles an hour or something. So it's definitely a big change of speed. But either way, Genevieve, congratulations. That is awesome. And last but not least, the Cubs hired 23-year-old Emlyn Deese as an area scout in the Carolinas, where she'll be scouting amateur players. So we're starting to see some changes here, all of them good. So we wanted to shout out some of the women of baseball, and we'll keep doing it. Hopefully we get more. So moving on to the text line. No text this week. What the hell's the matter with you people? Come on, start texting in the show. But we'll move on to emails, tweets, YouTube, comments. Vinny, take it away.
Oh, we have a new YouTube subscriber, JD Davis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JD.
70 subscribers. We need 30 more to get. I don't know what it. Justin knows what we get when we.
Yeah, we do. There are a couple of perks. I think one of them is you get like your your like own link to your websites. Like we could be youtube.com/baseball and whatever. Like that could be our direct link. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Oh no.
I think that sounds about right.
Justin is once again screaming in the microphone or his headphones.
I'm sure there's other stuff behind the scenes that Justin would benefit more than us.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, do you think it's Violetta?
Violetta Light. Yeah, I think so.
Commented on YouTube for the episode of our interview with Perry Morozevich. She said, "Love Perry, heart, 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 heart." And is that a shooting star?
Shooting star kind of galaxy thing, maybe.
Yeah, we agree. We love Perry too.
Perry was awesome. What a fantastic guest he was.
Yeah,
what a great episode that was. That was a lot of fun.
Have been great.
Yes, we love all our guests.
Glucosamine chondroitin Dr. Condom writes in, all Christmas songs are bad. Well, Well,
There's the Grinch spirit from our guy.
I respectfully disagree, but there are probably more bad songs than people will admit or
Mm-hmm.
even think about. But I wouldn't say all of them are bad. That's
Well, we definitely listed a lot of them on a couple episodes ago, so definitely check that out because I think Glucose definitely liked that episode. So
Yes, I think so. I think that was what his comment was on that video. So, Greg, do you want to read the MLB The Show one since you are the creator of all of those?
so we've kind of had this influx of MLB The Show 21 questions that came through on YouTube, and if you remember, if you've been there since day one, a lot of the when the show 21 first came out, I made a lot of kind of like informative videos that I put on our channel to try and get some attention to it. So you're still sending in questions, which we certainly appreciate. And I've contacted each of you on YouTube already, but I'm still going to read your comments on the show as I promised I would. So Danielle Tabor commented, "Can't believe they didn't put Chandler brand bats or Nakona baseball gloves." Now, Chandler, let's look forward to 22 right here. Chandler bats are probably coming to the game. He's probably commenting on the licensed equipment episode or video. Chandler bats are, I think, Aaron Judge and Ronald Acuna are the two biggest users of those brand of bats, so they'll definitely be coming to the game. I'm pretty convinced. Nakona baseball gloves, that's an interesting one. That I don't know a lot of MLB players that use those. I've seen them here and there, but they're a big American crap leather company. So you know me, anything, any kind of licensed brand equipment, I am all for MLB The Show. Put them all in there, whatever it is. I don't care. Any variety is best. So I'm right with you there, Danielle. Ready Coyote 9610 commented, "You know how the bats have those pictures on the cover of the bats? How do I choose those colors?" So I got back to you, Mr. Ready Coyote. I think you're referring to like the custom bat skins that are in the game. Those can be purchased or unlocked, but they can only be used in Road to the Show and Diamond Dynasty to kind of get your players or your teams an extra boost. So that's what you can be using those. And lastly, Richard Miller commented on YouTube, "Why do some rosters have the same player twice?" I also got back to you, Richard. That is because if you're looking at some of the Legends rosters, sometimes they'll create a player twice. For instance, Babe Ruth, they have two versions of Babe Ruth that they have at like different point of his careers. There's like old Babe Ruth and there's like rookie bad but gonna be good Babe Ruth. And I know they have one for Bryce Harper, they have one for Ken Griffey Jr., so that's probably why you're seeing them twice. If that answers your questions, thank you as always. Keep sending them in. Hopefully we get MLB The Show 22 because I was reading something yesterday from Game Rant saying that the game might be in danger because of this lockout, and this is affecting like all the use since it is MLB licensed, and all the likenesses have been taken down and disappeared from the website. That would also inevitably affect the game somehow, which I was certainly fearful of. I'm like, no, it can't be true. Then according to that article, oh, it can be true. So if that is the case, I will start killing people. Anywho, moving on from that, Vinny, before the show started, you and I were talking about Book of Boba Fett. We are definitely really enjoying that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I don't know how. I don't know how far. Just Vinny, you're fully caught up. I still have to watch the latest episode, episode 3. I don't know where Justin is on it.
He's with episode 2.
He's with episode 2 also. So
yeah, but it's fantastic.
It is so good. It's just got that, captures the feel of just Star Wars, kind of like that old West space odyssey, which it was kind of meant to be. So,
but I like it actually, I think more than the Mandalorian, just because so far, I feel like there's more to it. There's more, I guess, kind of question. I mean, with the Mandalorian, he's taking the child to its
Yes.
final destination. So you know that's what the story is.
Yeah.
With this, you don't know I mean, obviously he's taken over. He's in Tatooine, but you don't know like how where what's the end game. I
Right.
mean,
Well, you
you
kind of
don't
know what
know
you kind of know what he wants to accomplish. He wants to rule, not like Jabba the Hutt, but it's just all the shit that's gonna, like happen in between.
exactly.
Pretty much, it's like each individual. It's like a little miniseries where each episode could be almost its own little universe in a way, where there could just
Yep.
be so many different storylines, and then there's light tie-ins to one in the other. So, I agree with you, and the big part for me too is that Boba Fett is a character that has been really built after starting out as a minor character in The Empire Strikes Back, and now he's got his own show. Pretty much, really
Yep.
shows you how Star Wars evolves. So enjoying every minute of it, and these shows are so good. Like I'll take these any day over the oh, what is it? The Force Awakens, Last Jedi garbage. So, and then there's also a new trailer for The Batman starring Robert Pattinson. Did you watch this one, Vinny?
I did not. I get to
Okay.
the point with movies where I try not to watch the trailers because I don't want too much to be revealed.
No, that's definitely a good strategy right there. And nothing beat that first trailer for me. That first
Yeah.
teaser trailer was absolutely amazing. It's coming out March 4th, I think it is. I'm definitely going to go see it. It's not really revealing anything a lot about the plot from the trailers. Obviously, then what we kind of already got, and we just know it's going to be dark. And the official rating came out today, and there was a lot of speculation that it was going to be rated R, but obviously, it's rated PG-13. When you rate something R, it kind of cuts off so much of your audience. So, but
PG-13 nowadays is like borderline R. Like,
you're absolutely right, especially like what it was like when it lets you why it's rated like this. It was like strong violence, strong language, disturbing images. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. They took out like one F word maybe to get under the threshold. So something
exactly.
along that sort. So good stuff from that. A lot of good stuff coming up. So we'll see where that goes. Switching gears a little bit, we're revisiting the hot stove, or should I say cold stove, because it's frozen right now. So I'm going to resurrect a couple guys right here, because this is literally the baseball news that I have seen that has caught my eyes. That's mainly because I know who both these players are. So, and they're both former White Sox, and they're both headed to New York on minor league deals with each respective team. So one to the Mets, one to the Yankees. Starting with the Mets, our old friend, excuse me, Daniel Palka is signs a minor league deal with the New York Mets. I wonder if Jack Lugo has an opinion on that. I forgot to ask him, or if he even knows who that is.
I probably has no idea. No one outside of Chicago knows who he is.
Right, pretty much. So, 2018, things were looking up. He led the White Sox with 27 home runs and finished fifth in AL Rookie of the Year voting that year. So 2018, we were in love with this guy. We thought, yeah, this is new masher in town. And then 2019 didn't go so well. He was sent down. 2020, he ended up in the KBO with the Samsung Lions, where he slashed 209, 272, 367 with 8 home runs and 23 RBIs in 51 games. And then in 2021, last season, the Washington Nationals brought him back. He spent his season in AAA Rochester, where he had 18 home runs and an OPS of 836. So that was obviously enough to get some attention from big league clubs like the Mets, and he got himself a minor league deal. So good for you, Daniel. The second guy is former White Sox Jimmy Guns Cordero, who they just cut. He is going to the Yankees. Now, this might be something here, because he missed 2021 recovering from Tommy John. So he should be able to return This season, mid-season, mid-season, probably like December at this point, for 2022. So he would be able to return. And he wasn't in 2019 was obviously his best year, where he pitched 36 innings with the White Sox with a 2.75 ERA, 0.9 WHIP, and in 30 games. In 2020, though, he pitched the same amount of games, 30 games, 26 innings pitched, a little less, but that 6.08 ERA and a 1.6 WHIP was not so great before he missed 2021 with the TJ. So I don't know. He's always had good stuff. So obviously it was enough to get the Yankees' attention. Everyone needs a bullpen guy. So that's going to be interesting to see if he's strengthened up a little bit, because they might have found something there. And I was always a fan of this guy, even though he struggled in 2020. So, but either way, White Sox cut him loose. Yankees signed him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Jimmy Guns. But yeah, a couple former White Sox finding new homes there
in New York.
In New York, yeah, New York, no less. So
you think they took the bus together?
What'd you say?
Do you think they took the bus together?
They could have. They could. I'm envisioning like Harry together? I'm envisioning like Harry and Lloyd. You know, like the little cross country trip on the little whatever they were riding, the little mini bike or something.
On the mini bike, I thought you were talking about the shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, no, they started with the shaggin' wagon, mutt cuts, and then traded straight up, to a kid in town. So
I think it'd be more like planes, trains, and automobiles. They're riding in a car that got burnt out the night before.
What the hell are you driving? I wish it was like that, because that would be so wholesome. So yep. two buddies, and then they get sent down together or something like that. So switching to the White Sox, I haven't talked about the White Sox in a very long time. Was it been like almost ever since this lockout started, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I've just been completely ignoring. But international signing period opens up, January 15th, this Saturday, and Oscar Colas is expected to sign with the Chicago White Sox, the number 5 international prospect, probably the worst kept secret in baseball. Another Cuban guy going to the White Sox. I've read an article where they call him the Cuban Ohtani. What does that expect? Number one, we got to stop doing that, because that's dumb. Comparing players to other players who have accomplished great things in the Major League Baseball, right, and then giving them names when they literally haven't done shit. But I don't understand Cuban Ohtani. He doesn't pitch. He's an outfielder, and he's a slugger. So what?
But wouldn't you compare him to some other outfield slugger?
Yeah, I mean,
if you say Q, I haven't really been looking into the international signings, but Cuban Ohtani to me would scream two-way player.
Yeah, he's not a two-way player. There's nothing about him being able to pitch. I mean, if he would, that'd be great. But no, I don't understand that. So
that doesn't make any sense.
So it's dumb on two levels. It's dumb.
Some kind of masher or something like that. If that's what he is, you pick somebody along that line. It's not a guy that's a two-way player who's famous for being a great two-way player, and call him that. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Right, and had just a remarkable historic season. Yep. And yeah, no, I don't. That's a bad start. I don't like that. But yeah, the deal's expected to be around $2.7 million. Like I said, January 15th, this Saturday, is when that signing period opens up. Number 5th international prospect. Number 4 on that list is William Bergoya Jr., shortstop from Venezuela. The Phillies are actually the favorite to sign him. The 3rd is Ricardo Cabrera, another shortstop from Venezuela. The Reds are actually the favorite to sign him. The 2nd, Christian Vaquero, an outfielder from Cuba. The Nationals seem to be the favorite to sign him. And the number 1 international prospect is Roderick Arias from the Dominican Republic. He is also a shortstop. and the Yankees seem to be the favorite to sign him. So those are kind of like our top 5 international prospects. So we'll keep an eye on that. Always very exciting. These guys were, probably doing this ever since they were 5. So hopefully they all turn out to be good. I hope Oscar Colas turns out to be the best because we need, an outfielder. So even though he's not going to be there in 2022, but
you guys are pretty set in outfielder.
Well, we kind of need that right field slot. I know a lot of Sox fans kind of want to sign a right fielder, because we don't. I mean, we got Vaughn and Sheets. They're technically the guys there right now.
Yep.
But we'll see what they do. I know Conforto's been a big name that we've talked about before. That's a free agent. I mean, who the hell knows when free agency is going to open back up? But that's a name that I keep hearing thrown around here and there. So,
what position does Cespedes play?
I think he's a corner outfielder. So, and he's on track for 2023, maybe, or if not sooner. So, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, if he turns out like that would be amazing. So,
yeah.
But either way, hopefully both those guys turn out to be something. Switching gears to the Cubs. Did you have anything on the Cubs today, Vinny?
No.
If you can remember from 3 weeks ago, we did that guy Cub, and some of the clues were my first couple clues were he was a second baseman, career 289 hitter, played 3 seasons with the Cubs, really 2.5 seasons. He hit the most home runs with a team of his career with the Cubs. He was a College World Series Most Outstanding Player in 1993. He was one of Theo Epstein's first acquisitions as a GM. Now, that wasn't with the Cubs. That was with the Boston Red Sox, actually. So that was my little trick question in there. And then, of course, traded to the Padres for the player. That the Cubs would eventually flip for Kevin Gregg to the Marlins. That, of course, that player on the Cubs, that guy Cub, was Todd Walker, guessed correctly by Chris from the 3 Spot blog. So there you go. Do you remember Todd Walker, Vinny?
Vaguely, yes.
Vaguely, yeah. That was 04, 06. That was a long time. He was pretty solid with the Cubs there for a year or so, and then it kind of fell out. But I was going to do this next thing with you and Justin, Vinny, but you and I are gonna do it right now. Now we're gonna, since we have no actual like MLB stuff happening except bullshit arguments where they should all be nuked and get it over with. So I started going, you told me about Marvel What If. Yeah. So I was like, hey, this show's good. I like it a lot for something animated, and anything Marvel is great. It's really well done. Well, I started thinking, like, what if, the Cubs, made some more moves whenever the season started, and then we were looking at some new opening day starters right over here. So I wanted to do a little lineup construction with you. I hope that's okay. Can I read you some starters, and then I want to hear you build a lineup, and I'll do it with you. All right.
Okay. Hold on.
So, okay. Say when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So catching, I'll just read the names, and then we can place them. So Wilson Contreras, Frank Schwindel, Nick Madrigal, Patrick Wisdom, Trevor Story, Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Jason Hayward, and because DH may be coming to the National League, my last name is Kyle Schwarber.
Interesting.
So I kind of been shuffling around names a little bit. This is like what I do. This is how I speculate, Vinny. Sometimes when I see rosters, I kind of build lineups for a little bit. So I know a guy. Remember, was it Rafael Ortega was leading
Yes.
off for the Cubs for a good chunk last year, and he was solid. He was good, but I didn't include his name on the list. So out of
Okay.
this group, who do you think would be leading off for the Cubs?
Tough. Ooh, boy.
I'll tell you who I went with. I had Nico Horner leading off and playing center field.
Okay, not bad. I had him at center field in my
In your lineup there.
yep.
Okay.
But I was thinking Nicky Bats.
Nicky Bat. Okay, that was the other choice. Moving him up. See, I had him last, but because that's where he hit with the White Sox. But he's that contact guy. He's not the strikeout guy. And if he can, figure that out, maybe draw some walks, he'll be your on base guy too. So no power whatsoever. A little bit here and there. But batting second, I had at first base Frank Schwindel.
Okay.
Batting, go ahead.
Oh no, I was I would actually put, gosh, I don't know. This is tough. God, oh yeah, I forgot about. Okay, I'll go with that. I'm just gonna go with whatever you have. I'm looking at this and I haven't thought about this.
Like I said, I'm putting you on this, but this was meant to put you and Justin on the spot. I kind of filled this out before we hit record. So
you have Frank as number 2. You
yes.
have Nico as number 1. I would put number 2. Boy, that's tough. I'll put Frank as number 2.
Frank is number 2. Okay.
Sure.
Good old Schwindel, MVP. Batting third for the Chicago Cubs, I have shortstop Trevor Story.
Okay.
Batting fourth, I have third baseman Patrick Wisdom.
Nope, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I would put Kyle Schwarber at number 4.
Good call. I actually have Schwarber at 5.
Okay.
So that was my next guy, and I have Schwarber at DH.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I would put at number 5. Oh boy. I would put Wilson at 5.
Wilson at 5. Good call.
Obviously.
I have Wilson Contreras at 6.
Okay.
Playing catcher, obviously.
I have Nico at 6.
I like this lineup, Vinny. Where are we at? 7. Batting 7th, I have, hopefully I'm not getting mixed up here. Batting 7th, I have Ian Happ playing left field.
Okay. That's 7.
Yeah.
Did you say? Okay. I also have him at 7 at center.
Okay. Batting 8th, I have Jason Hayward playing right field.
I have Patrick Wisdom.
Okay.
Playing third base.
Playing third base. Batting 9th, I have Nick Madrigal playing second base.
Okay. I have Jason Hayward.
Jason Hayward batting at the very end, Mr. Expensive contract, but World Series speech. So
yeah,
worth every penny. So that is just my what if. Obviously, a couple of those guys are not on the team, but just like what if? Just like two guys that I see speculating. Say where would we slot them in? So we'll see where that goes. But that is my Cubs what if for today. Getting to around the league, I know this news is so crazy old, but Kyle Seager is hanging it up, and his wife Julie tweeted out a note from my husband. Like I said, this was like weeks ago. Today I'm announcing my retirement from Major League Baseball. Thank you to all my family, friends, and fans for following me throughout my career. It's been a wonderful ride, but I'm unbelievably excited for the next chapter in my life. Kyle's 34 years old, 11-year solid MLB career with the Seattle Mariners. He made his big league debut in 2011. He was a third-round pick out of UNC Chapel Hill in 2009. Career slash 251, 321, 442 with a 112 OPS plus and 242 home runs and 37 WAR. All-Star Gold Glove winner in 2014 and had his career best 35 home runs in 2021. Solid career. And that's kind of strange too, because I guess, he probably been thinking about this for a while, because there's definitely, I would think there'd definitely be some sort of market for him. There's plenty of teams out there looking for kind of like a solid third baseman. So interesting. Yeah.
Rumor be interested in
they definitely had some. I know Cubs, Mets, Blue Jays, even Mariners, obviously, even though I think they were looking to move on. So that's interesting. I think he's been thinking about it for a while. So good for him. Wish him all the best. He was a solid, definitely a solid hitter, and often victim of the shift. If you look at his numbers, without runners on base, they're pretty awful. But with runners on base, he was driving them in left and right. So Kyle Seager, congrats. Your brother Corey just made a shit ton of money though. So
I was gonna say, do you think the lockout had anything to do with it? He was just like,
yeah, possibly. Just be like, screw it. Don't want to deal with free agency or something like that, and unsure of what his future would leave, where he'd have to move, what he'd have to do. So he's probably made enough, and he's just like, you know what, I'm good. So the other big announcement, a guy that we are certainly familiar with, is Jon Lester announced his retirement after 16 seasons in the major leagues, 3 World Series titles, 200 wins, a 5-time All-Star, in the postseason, 9-7, a 2.51 ERA in 154 innings pitched. That is a lot of postseason. Of course, the Cubs signed him to a 6-year, $155 million deal in December of 2014. And his final stats with the Cubs, he went 77-44 with a 3.64 ERA in 171 starts. An All-Star, finished second in the NL Cy Young. Just a big-time signing for the Cubs. Kind of fell off the map there in the end, but overall a fantastic career for Jon Lester. I know there's debate about whether he's a Hall of Famer or not. Did we ever talk about that? Did we ever discuss if Jon Lester was a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so.
I don't know where you stand, Vinny, but I think he's like one of those guys that like just falls short. I mean, he does have that high postseason, those great postseason stats. I mean, obviously a lot of postseason play and the World Series titles, obviously. But I don't know if he's like Hall of, like very good. I mean, I would love it if he was, obviously, but he's kind of like I kind of like group him in with Mark Burley a little bit, where there are a couple guys that they'll kind of be on the ballot for a while, obviously, but just kind of never scratch the surface. Obviously, I hope they both make it in, but I don't know. I think I'd be surprised if he does. What do you think?
He's a guy that's right on the edge, like you said. It really depends on what everybody thinks of his postseason. I think that if the writers that are voting, they look at his postseason and kind of weigh that more than what his regular season stats are worth. I think he gets in. Looking at Baseball Reference, they have a couple Hall of Fame stats, and he's on the couple of the statistics and metrics that they have. He's right there at the edge. A lot of them. Most of them don't look at postseason success. So, like I said, if a writer is going to look at that and see that he won, he was there when they broke the curse for Boston and with the Cubs.
And 2 historic World Series years, I suppose.
I think that, would weigh heavily, I think, on some of those old fart writers.
Mm-hmm.
That I think he does maybe get in at some point.
At some point, probably later on, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. But again, he's right on that edge where either way you can make an argument for him.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking just postseason success.
Is he going as a Red Sox or a Cub if he goes in?
Do they get to choose? They get to choose.
They do get to choose. Yeah, they do get to choose.
I don't know. I guess it's his choice. He could go in either one. Yeah,
I don't think he's going in as an Oakland A, but
no. Hopefully he doesn't pick the Cardinals.
Yeah, how terrible would that be? Just a slap in the face to just everyone.
Kicking the nuts for all the Cub fans. But I would actually love to see him go in as a national. That'd be great.
Wearing Bryce Harper's old number.
Right?
Yeah, obviously, the Red Sox with the Cubs. I mean, it's 2 World Series with the Red Sox, so you kind of think that's the default. But how kind of neat would it be if he did make it in and went in as a Cub the same year Mark Burley goes in as a White Sox? So we'll see. It's just going to be a journey ahead. Obviously, Burley's already on the ballot and everything. Lester's gonna have to wait a little while, but I guess we'll revisit this when the time comes, if we're still on the air right here, if they haven't booted us or been banned from the airwaves. So we'll see. last bit of baseball news, your guy Vinny, the Mets announced they will retire number 17 for former first baseman and current broadcaster Keith Hernandez on July 1st.
Man,
I despise
pretty boys.
Nice game, pretty boy. Obviously, Keith Hernandez was a big topic last week when we had Jack Lugo on and talking about the '86 Mets and the part of the leadership from him during that historic season, and of course our beloved Seinfeld, where he guest starred in the Boyfriend episode. So nice game, pretty boy. So, but Keith is getting his number retired, along with recent Hall of Famer Jim Cott of the Minnesota Twins. His number 36 will be retired July 16th, voted in by the Golden Era Old Man Geezer Veteran Committee. Is that what they're calling themselves? Where they they gather every 6 years or something and vote in people. So many stinking committees, I don't know. But either way, he's a Hall of Famer. He's getting his number retired, and we love that. Shout out to MLB jersey numbers, because that is such a wonderful Twitter page. That is like, oh God, that is gold. I can't wait till there's more jersey number announcements, more signing
over there.
Yeah, I am just going to live on that page and just enjoy every minute of that. So so that is the baseball talk. We rounded up what we could. There's not much else we could say. We could get into some more of the negotiations, but quite frankly, it's just all bad. So we're going to change up the type of bad we're going to talk about. We're going to shift gears to Vinnie's Bears and Manures of the Midway. That'll be our whatever section for today. Vinnie has done his research, and he's just going to kind of update you on what's going on with the Chicago Bears. So here we go. Mix it in present time and blast from the past. It's Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV. Vinny, what's going on with these manures of the Midway?
Yeah, it's bad. I got into it with a gentleman on Twitter, Kevin Tempen.
You sent us those pictures, of the conversation, and ooh, man.
I think that was a different one. That was a Justin Fields conversation.
Oh, okay, that was that conversation. Yes.
We can start off with that. For Bear fans out there that think, oh well, Justin Fields came from Ohio State. Ohio State has never produced a good quarterback in the NFL. Please please stop thinking. How do you function in life? A college throughout its entire existence doesn't define a quarterback. A quarterback, if you want to talk about the coach that's at the university and the quarterbacks that the coach has produced and say that this coach hasn't produced a quarterback, that's fine. But saying that a guy came from a certain school and say, oh, it's never produced this is moronic. I got into a separate argument with somebody that said, well, Notre Dame's produced some good quarterbacks. In my lifetime, they produced nobody. The last good quarterback they produced was Joe Montana. And of course, I asked the guy that, and he goes, well, that not recently. Well, exactly. That's the point. It doesn't matter what school they came from. You look at the player. If Justin Fields is an all-star Hall of Fame quarterback, then Ohio State has their first one. And it only takes one for a school not to be bad at producing quarterbacks. So if you think that way, just stop. And don't think that way, and think optimistically, hey, maybe Justin Fields is that one good quarterback from Ohio State, because he is good.
Yes.
There are flashes of him being good. Yes.
There are.
He fumbles the ball too much, but that's a rookie mistake. That can be corrected.
Yes. That can be fixed.
So, he makes a lot of people have said, oh, well, he's just Mitchell Trubisky. And no, that's not right.
No.
Watch him throw the ball down the field. He's accurate more times than not, and it's hitting guys in the hands. So I digress on the Justin Fields talk, because that's never going to end until 4 or 5 years down the road, and we see what's if he's with the Bears or not. I mean, the jury's still out. I'm optimistic he's going to be good. But again,
that's all we got at this point to be optimistic.
You can say that, yeah, he's made mistakes, but to say he's a bust after this year with that coach,
no, definitely not.
No way.
Well, let me just say, Vinnie, I know we spoke about this before, but when we saw Mitch play early on, it just wasn't. He just wasn't doing things that was impressing us. Like none of the plays that he would produce or that he made looked all too impressive. I mean, Justin Fields is having his rookie struggles, but I know all of us have texted back and forth before, and I can't remember what game specifically where he had where he kind of just took the ball and ran with it. And some of the
49ers game.
Yeah, the 49ers game, and I believe he scored a touchdown, right? He rushed in a touchdown, and we all said, like, we've never seen a Bears quarterback do something like that before. So
on a broken play,
on a broken play and get a touchdown like that. That is something like we didn't quite know what to do with that. I mean, it was awesome, but we're like, you know what? It's signs like that keeps me optimistic too, because I never really saw, getting back to Mitch, I never really saw anything from him that's gonna be like, oh yeah, that work on that a little bit. That's gonna be good. But no, you're absolutely right about that. So, and speaking of Notre Dame quarterback, I mean, I'm not too sure on many of them, but we have Ian Book right now in he's a Saint, and he ended up getting a start where he was terrible. Yep. And then Deshaun Kaiser, was he a Notre Dame quarterback? Yeah. He's not doing anything. And then
Khalil Mack just pretty much ended his career. Yeah. First game of the season when he filled in for Rodgers. God, Rodgers can't be hurt. We throw him back in there.
Those are the two that kind of sprung to mind. I don't know.
Clausen?
What's that?
Jimmy Clausen,
quarterback. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was a big time guy. He came. What was the big farty guy? What's his name? He was the offensive coordinator with the Patriots. I can't think of his name now. But he's just a big walking fart.
There's just so many of them, especially around the Bears. I had to get them all mixed up. But
I think maybe the probably most successful one that wasn't very good was another ex-Bears quarterback, but Jim Meyer. He was a quarterback in the 90s. Played with Seattle. I think he was drafted by Seattle. I think he was somewhat successful.
Was he? Okay.
But again, that was during the 90s. I might be misremembering that.
Yeah.
Little kid then. But yeah, Notre Dame has not produced any good quarterbacks since Joe Montana. And that's what they're living on. Joe Montana came from Notre Dame, so Notre Dame can produce quarterbacks.
Oh,
Okay, have Jimmy Clausen then. I don't care. I'll
right.
take Fields any day of the week over Jimmy Clausen or Rick Meyer or whatever other Deshaun Kaiser, all that garbage that came out of there since Joe Montana.
It's like, folks, I know we do blast from the past here, but it's a parody. People, we're not actually stuck in these times. So just to clarify, in case we have to submit a disclaimer on that. Good God. So
exactly. Okay, so changing gears here and more looking at the Bears franchise on the whole, because now they are searching for a new head coach and a new GM because they both got canned. And
yes, they did.
Conference from George McCaskey was just horrendous.
Just when you think things couldn't sound worse, yeah,
they do. And who was it? I was going to say Lawrence Holmes, but Herb Lawrence tweeted out and saying, well, if you're the Bears, why don't you want to have a good team? And my response to that was, they don't need to have a good team. This is a family business. They only care about the bottom line. That is very evident because of the board, who is run by the family, have just to keep George McCaskey as the number one guy running the Bears organization. They have full trust in him, is what he said in his press conference. That to me just says that they don't care about winning. If they cared, they would get somebody that they weren't comfortable with running the organization. They're comfortable with George. George isn't going to step on anybody's feet. So they're going to, and someone said, no, well, they need to win because fans won't show up.
See no evidence of it. Yeah.
It's absolutely, and I've looked it up for this. Okay. So Bears fans are going to stop showing up. Okay. It's been 33 years of garbage and crap, which is in my entire life. That's a pretty large sample size. Do you know how many times they made the playoffs in the 33 years, in the 33 seasons in my life?
Oh no. I can recall 6 times. I'm sure it's more, but it's
9 times.
9. Oh God.
9 times.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Ed Rooney.
Yes, 9 times. It is pathetic. And to make it even sadder,
in 33 years.
Yes, and if you actually take out Lovie Smith's, he went to the playoffs 3 times. So it was only 6 times.
Okay.
Hold on.
So yes. I'm thinking of 3 times with Lovie and twice with Nagy, or 3.
Yep, twice with Nagy,
and then one other. Okay, that's what was coming to my mind, I suppose, but I can't remember anything before that. So,
okay. So I looked up the other teams in the current division. There used to be 5 teams in the division with Tampa in there.
Yep.
But I only looked at the current 4. Guess how many the Lions have? How many times the Lions have been to the playoffs in 33 seasons, our entire life?
In 33 seasons, our entire life, the Lions have been 11 times?
9 times.
9 times.
Good. 9 times, tied with the Bears.
Oh God, I was hoping to go over just to make a look, but it's terrible. It's awful.
Okay, so the Lions have been 9 times. The Vikings have been 16 times, and the Packers have been 21 times. Now, I broke it down even more, looking at 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, going, during the time from 89 to 2001, I think is when they still had 5 teams. Okay, the Bears had 6 first place finishes. The Lions have had 2 first place finishes. Vikings have had 9.
Wait, are we still in this 33 year?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Vikings have had 9, and the Packers have had a whopping 15.
Good
Second
God.
place finishes Packers 9, Vikings 12, Lions 5, Bears 4.
4.
Behind the Lions on second place finishes. Third place finishes Bears 9.
9 times.
The Lions 11. So again, they're beating the Bears in third
Beating
place.
the Bears.
The Vikings 5 and the Packers 5.
Okay.
Fourth place finishes. The Packers had 4, and 3 of those were when there were 5 teams. So that they've only had one last place finish with the 4 teams.
With the 4 team. Okay.
Team division. The Vikings had 6 fourth place finishes, and that was 3 of those. So half of those was with the 5 teams. So 3 last place finishes. The Lions have had 12 fourth place finishes. Only 2 of those were with the 5 team setup. So 10. And then the Bears have had 10 fourth place finishes, with 4 of those being with 5 teams. And then, so just looking at last place finishes, the Packers have had 1 last place finish in our lifetime. The Vikings have had 4, the Lions 13, and the Bears 10 last place finishes. So not too far behind the Lions. So yes, the Bears have had also 11 winning seasons out of 33. And that's not including 500. If you include 500 seasons, they've had 15. So closer to 500, but still not good. 11 winning seasons.
That is absolutely pathetic. That is.
My argument is the McCaskey family, they don't need to do anything. They can keep churning out this garbage that we have to sit through and watch because we're Bear fans, and by default, we're loyal to a fault, and we continue to watch and show up for games. Do you know what attendance records were last year for the Bears? And I'm going by percentages where they might have ended up at home, percentage filled. So we're
okay
into account limitations because the Bears have one of the small stadiums in seating size, so it's easy to sell out. So
to sell, yeah.
Or if you're looking at just solid numbers, they're going to be down at the bottom of the list. So if we're looking at sellout percentage
for
how bad
games
was, yes. Where do you think they rank percentage wise
for selling out the stadium?
Yep. So we're looking at attendance.
Okay.
Tickets, or I guess it's tickets sold because that's what the attendance is. But attendance versus capacity. So a percentage wise, where was their percentage at compared to the rest of the leagues?
Where was their percentage at compared to the rest of the leagues?
32 teams. They were 14th. They were
okay. They were in the middle.
6 and 11 is what they ended up. They were 14th. They were ahead of the Packers.
No,
surprising. Yeah,
in Lambeau.
Yeah,
they were really.
But if you look at it, they also looked at. So this was taken from ESPN's attendance records. If you they also did road games. So I'm assuming what they did was they took the attendance of the road games the team played at versus the stadium capacity, and also at percentage.
Yeah,
you know what the numbers were for that?
12th,
7th.
Oh man,
the Bears fans travel. And looking at this, okay, do you know John Fox's? Do you know what the highest place he ever finished in the division
as a Bears head coach?
As the Bears head coach,
is it third?
Dead last. He never finished higher than dead last. He finished 4th all of his years coaching.
All of his years, they were dead last.
Dead last.
Behind the Lions.
Yes.
Wow.
So the John Fox era, which I only looked at 17, 16, and 15, his last 3 years, I figured, Bears optimism on getting a new coach, fans would show up.
Yeah.
2015, they were at over 100% capacity on tickets sold. So their standing room, I'm guessing they sold.
They sold out, yeah.
Yeah, they were ranked 7th on percentage wise.
Top 10.
Yep.
Top 10 in the league.
2016, they fell to 18th, but still they're at the halfway. They're still better than half the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 fourth place finishes. Now we're going into 2017 with 3 fourth place finishes. They were 11th for home. They were 11th.
They were 11th.
Yeah. So
still near the top of the league.
Don't tell me that they need to win. The McCaskey family needs to win. They don't need to. Fans will still show up. Even if they move into the brand new stadium in Arlington Heights, fans will still show up. I'd go to a game even if they were bad. I mean, most likely it's going to be a dome stadium. You don't have to worry about the weather.
Right.
It's going to, more fans, I think, are going to show up to the new stadium than downtown Soldier Field, especially when the weather's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mr. Tempin also said, well, in Arlington Heights near the racetrack, they had a Sheraton there and it never filled and it went under. Well, you're also comparing the NFL to horse racing.
Right.
They don't compare.
That place was only live like Derby time or something like that when it really was flying. So
and they probably have at least 2 hotels there that'll be jam-packed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're going to be fine. And if they're smart and they take a page out of the Cubs playbook, they're going to build up that entire area with restaurants, bars, probably a sports book, maybe a smaller entertainment venue where you don't need to have, a big concert to fill in the stadium, but you can have it at a smaller location. Green Bay's got kind of the same setup where they have like this whole entertainment around Lambeau and all these areas that, the Packers own that's set up just for entertainment for after the game. They got like an ice skating rink there. So don't tell me that the McCaskey family, if they move forward with the stadium, it's still up in the air from what their press conference said, that they got a lot of stuff to go through, like testing of the land and making sure that they can actually put a stadium on the land itself. So there's a lot to be done on that, but they don't care about winning. If they did, George would have been gone a long time ago. They would have put somebody that knows what they're doing in that spot.
And he's even come out and admitted, like even just recently, that he doesn't know what he's doing. That's why he's bringing in guys like Bill Pullian and Sue Campbell or whatever, just to make the football decisions for him, because he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's been in charge. He's been running this organization. Football's in the family, and he still does. The football's the family business, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And like getting back to what you say, all you freaking hear, you hear it from media, you hear it on the radio, is like, the McCaskies want to win. And getting back to what you're explaining to us all right here, I was like, what proof do we have that they want to win? Is it more pathetic that they have this, money printing machine here where they can just kind of skate by, or it's like, what's worse? Are they just doing that? Or they don't care about winning and they're just generating money, or they actually are trying to win, but they're just so bad at it that it just turns to that. It's like, it's just like damned if you do, damned if you don't. There are no good optics with this, if you ask me.
There might be like George come out and said that he wins. He's a fan of the team. That all might be true. He's one person in the family. Virginia, they said, oh, she gets upset when they lose to the Packers. Okay. That lady,
does Virginia know what's going on? I mean, let's just say it.
It's okay. That's two people in the family. There's more family members. Do they really care? Do they really care about
if George McCaskey is still the CEO, head of the board, or whatever? Clearly they don't, because they don't want any part of it or whatever. They just sit in their little cushy leather chair and then just count their winnings. So
exactly, and it takes a lot of effort to win. You gotta put the right people in place, and like I said, you got to put people that win. Guys like Bill Belichick, they probably make a lot of people uncomfortable. I'd probably be very uncomfortable sitting in a room with him if I was working for him or with him. To win in the NFL, you need to have guys that are rough around the edges.
Yes.
The Bears are a family organization. I don't think they care. They want rough around the edges. You see guys like Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, really nice guys, but they're not gritty. They're not rough, which kind of takes, they're not jerky.
Yeah.
As in these guys that win.
I got I got two questions for you on that, Vinny. I hope I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but going back to way back when Ryan Pace got hired, obviously the other big name was Chris Ballard, who was already in the organization, and I think like he told George maybe in the interview or whatever in the process of hiring that he was going to dump Jay Cutler or whoever else it was and do this change. I mean, big drastic changes like, hey, let's kind of turn this on its head because we're not in a good track. And that seemed to kind of cost him the Bears GM job possibly and that's when they brought in, Ryan Pace. So
yeah, should have given him the job. They should have signed him right then and there. Yeah, and well, obviously the Colts. We don't want to talk about how their season ended. That was
awful. But, I mean,
you're in a better trajectory than what the Bears are right now. I think they still need to get the quarterback.
They still have the quarterback issue, but everything else kind of is in a good spot for them.
Yep. And I think with they can be successful and be competitive with Carson Wentz, and maybe that buys you time to build up, your other positions and players around him to finally draft a quarterback. Who knows? But it's they don't need to win, and don't kid yourself in thinking that the whole family, the ownership wants to win. It's not true.
You can't believe it. I certainly can't believe it. And I'm just like, there's nothing tells me that they do. So
yeah, they can't be this dumb and unlucky. I mean, I guess maybe they lucked in with Lovie Smith for the few years he was with the Bears, but yeah,
great defense with those teams.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't move the needle. They still have the same amount of playoff appearances as the Lions.
Yeah.
9 times.
As Ed Rooney so nicely puts. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about I know the Bears are interviewing, I think tomorrow, former Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores. I know that kind of shocked the NFL coaching search when his name came up on the board. He's kind of viewed as an up and coming coach, and you kind of hear things, with Miami. It wasn't necessarily because of his coaching ways, but he just didn't really kind of butted heads with management a little bit of micromanager. Kind of wanted a piece in all sides of how the organization is run. The Bears are bringing him in, and then when I heard you say like they just kind of like the Bears front office just kind of like their cushy ways, with running the team. So I don't know how you feel about Brian Flores. I don't know how I feel about Brian Flores, but would a guy like that even have a shot? I know they're bringing him in to interview, but like I said, George obviously fired, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, who we call two of the highest character and best leaders that he's ever worked with, which is clearly bullshit because they're fired. So they really can't be. But like a guy like this, I don't believe George, if he's going to make like drastic changes like this, and I don't know how you'd feel about a guy like Brian Flores being the head coach of the Bears, but hearing what you heard about him in Miami, him interviewing the Bears, I mean, that doesn't, just with the way things sit now, does that even seem like a fit? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I initially, when he was fired, I was all for him coming to the Bears, hoping that he was going to be their top guy.
Yeah.
He was the tank for 2 a year. He went 5-11 with a bunch of no names. They traded everybody, so he won with absolutely nothing. I
think he had like Adam Shaheen too at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, this year, I think
was it this year? Okay.
But he has gone through, I think 3 or 4 offensive coordinators in his short time there.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's a defensive guy. It just mimics Lovie Smith. So, is he going to get the off? I don't care, offensive, defensive coordinator, guy, that whoever they hire, I don't care where they come from. I don't think it has to be an offensive or, has to be an offensive guy. We just did that and that didn't work out.
We got the wrong one.
Right? It doesn't necessarily need to be, it can be a defensive guy if he brings in the right coordinator. That's all that matters. I actually don't want an offensive guy, especially if he's going to be hell-bent on calling his own plays, because we saw how obnoxious that was for the past years. Not being reluctant to give up that play calling. As a head coach, you have more to do than just call plays.
Right.
You got clock management. There's a hell of a lot more that goes into it than calling plays.
Where you need to be able to rely on your coaches and coordinators for, delegate that sort of thing. So which Nagy couldn't do is on the offensive side of the ball.
Exactly. The guy I would love to see them get, which is a big hot name over the past couple of years for coaching candidacy, is Chris Tabor, the special teams coordinator. I'd love to see him get a chance. Not to bring up the past, but that's what Dicko was. He was a special teams guy. I believe that's what my dad told me. Yeah. John Harbaugh, not Jim, but John Harbaugh was
special teams. Yep. Absolutely.
I think they're prone. I would love to dive into the numbers on head coaches and where they came from, what coordinator positions they came from. But I would like to think that a special teams coordinator is a better head coach because they're special teams. What plays are you calling? Field goal unit, run out there and kick a field goal. Kick the ball down to the right or the left.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into it. It's not just that simple, but it's very simple when you're playing Madden. So I like to get into the real world. But, I think that they were more reluctant to, not worry about the play call. They're going to leave it to their coordinators. They're going to worry about managing the team, managing the game, managing their coordinators and their coaches and stuff. All the more nuanced stuff that is a head coach and not just the play call. I would love to see that. Again, Brian Flores, I wouldn't mind if they hired him. He's got to get that coordinator job right. It's something that eluded him. It seems like in Miami, although I also heard that, he also butted heads with Tua. I guess there was a shouting match there between them.
I did hear that too. Yeah.
Not something you like to see, but again, that's one side of the story. You don't know what Tua said, or, supposedly he also didn't want Tua. He wanted Justin Herbert. So, he made, it looks like the right call on that. Herbert seems to be the better quarterback of the two, comparing them. But again, I think Tua's been injured quite a bit. I think he's still out on him. But I and then Jim Harbaugh is a name. That was I think when everything first started, when
that was kind of like the first name that we kind of gravitated towards. And does he even have like an interview? Have they contacted Harbaugh, or is he come? Are they bringing him in?
There's no official news. I think a lot of the I think a lot of the news from beat writers, and something I saw on Twitter, is usually they don't hear that they've been interviewed until after the interview.
Okay.
Usually they get the news on the requests to interview somebody, so that I think that's how they get the idea that a coach is being interviewed. But yeah, his name's been touted, and of course the ever so smart Bears fans, well, he didn't beat Ohio State at Michigan. He didn't beat Michigan State. Guess what? He doesn't have to face either of those two teams in the NFL.
Yep.
Who gives a rat's ass? He doesn't win the big games. You know what? He also went to a Super Bowl. He also, also gone to the playoffs plenty of times in his short NFL stint as a coach. I want to win. I don't, it's just.
It's a terrible argument. It's the argument that, of course, you're going to hear. You can't escape it. But
and I've also seen pop up on Twitter as Bear fans. Well, when Lovey was first hired, he said that beating the Packers was the most important thing. Again, what the hell are you talking about? That's such a loser's mentality. Well, I don't care if I win as long as I beat the Packers.
As long as I beat the Packers
twice a year. You know what? If a coach comes out there and goes, I want to be competing for division titles every year, being in the playoffs, being a force to be reckoned with in the NFC. That's what I want to hear.
Can we just hear something like that, please? It's like,
if you win your division, you take care of the Packers more times than not.
Yep.
And even if you lose twice to the Packers every year, but you're winning the division and making the playoffs and going to Super Bowls,
love it. Love it.
Packer fans can then beat the drum saying, well, we beat the Bears twice. Who cares? Bottom of the league. I don't care. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, people that are like, well, the coach has got to come out and say that he wants to beat the Packers. No, just stop.
Can't be on that. That is just so ridiculous and asinine. And it just like you said, like if I'm so used to losing to the Packers anyway. So if we are for only 2 losses are to the Packers, I will take that any day of the week. So I mean, it's just I don't. If the Bears are good and they lose, I don't give a shit about beating the Packers. If you beat them, great, but win football games other than the Packers and win the division, get in the playoffs, and do it recurring, do it, sustained success or whatever Theo said. So
yes. And I live in Wisconsin. I have 2 brother-in-laws that are Packer fans. They don't really care about the Bears, right? Like they care a little bit, beating the Bears because, they know Bear fans. They know me.
Right.
They like to give me a hard time, but in the bottom line, they don't care.
We're just like,
they care about the playoffs.
Yeah. And we just gotta be like little fleas. The Bears have to be like just little fleas to Packers fans, like just insignificant, specimen or whatever. That's just an annoyance, just an embarrassment, just complete boobery or something. So at least that if I was a Packers fan, which I'm not, but that's how I would view the Bears, which is the exact relationship, the whole Aaron Rodgers, I own you stuff. I'm like, yeah, he does. He's right. So, And he's an asshat too. So
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But he's a good one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Bear fans, don't kid yourself. You would want him as your quarterback.
I know you said Chris Tabor, Vinny. Is there anyone from kind of like these names? So let me hike it back a little bit. So the Bears have interviewed a couple candidates for GM, and one for head coach. Was it Doug Peterson they interviewed today or the day before?
Yesterday.
Okay. Is that the only head coach they have interviewed so far, or candidate for the head coach? So that we know about at least.
I think so. Let's see. Yesterday, Unbearable Sports podcast of Belly Up Sports Network. They've been putting out a list of GM searches and coach searches. Mm-hmm. So they excuse me. They have for the coaches, it was 2 days ago, updated, and I haven't heard any new coaches out there. But Dolphins, Brian Flores, Colts, Matt Eberfluss, Buck, Todd Bowles, Brian Leftwich, Packers, Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Packers, Cowboys, Dan Quinn, ex Falcons
head coach. Yep. Went to a Super Bowl.
Yep. Bills, Brian Dabble or Fat Nagy. He looks like a version of Fat Nagy. And Leslie Frazier of the Bills.
The Bills, yeah.
Eagles, ex-Eagles, Doug Peterson.
That's okay.
Coaches right now.
Okay.
GM search is bigger. They're doing the right things. I know some people are worried out there that they're interviewing coaches and GMs simultaneously. I think that's not I think that's actually a good move to do. They're casting a wide net on the GM and the coaches. Mm-hmm. They should have fired Ryan Pace, 2 weeks before the season and started this GM.
Yeah, started earlier. Yeah.
Do that. But they can do their GM search. They can do the coach search at the same time. I don't want to see them hire a coach before the GM. I want that to be the GM's decision. But if they're going to do it right, they're going to narrow down the pool of coach candidates for the GM and give him a list of, all the interviews, all the notes they took. Maybe I'm assuming they're probably taking videos of the interviews, which would make a lot of sense. This is 2021. and be able to give him all this information on all these coach candidates so he can shortlist it and bring them back. They're going to bring them in. They can still bring them back for a second interview.
Oh yeah.
So, now I think that all they've interviewed was Doug Peterson for a coach. And that's because he's been sitting at home for, years now, a couple years, or at least 1 year.
At least a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm perfectly fine. I'm optimistic that they're going to do this right. That Brian Polian, it's Brian Polian, right?
Bill Polian.
Bill Polian.
Yeah.
Is going to, make sure that they don't screw this up and hire the coach before the GM. Although George did say if they find the right candidate that they're going to hire the coach before the GM. I don't know what that means, unless it's, some guy like Jim Harbaugh that's going to, maybe take on both roles of GM and coach, or, assistant GM and coach. But again, I still think that's a bad move. You don't want to go down that road. But again, I'm optimistic that they're going to do the right thing and still hire the GM first before the coach. I think that a lot of them has just been requests to interview.
Yeah.
Not actually have had them besides the Doug Peterson one.
Well, they seem to have solid lists for both candidates. I'm not going to give them credit for building those lists because I feel like you and I could have built the exact same lists. So they don't get get credit that easily. Especially when it comes to the head coaching list right there. Yeah. Me personally, I don't have like a preference right now because I don't know enough about. I mean, maybe I just know too much about how this hiring process goes, and you want to remain optimistic. I'm really having trouble, but what's keeping me optimistic, I suppose, is just kind of like the names I see. I'm not going to be upset if like some of the more common names we see on the GM list and the head coach list are like familiar names, where if it doesn't work out, it's like, well, it was the move made sense at the time. That's a good candidate that you had. That's a good candidate that you hired. And if the Bears are the Bears, something went wrong along the way or whatever. So they could just come out and just hire, Joe Blow that you're just like, what the hell's going on? But it's going to be an interesting process for sure. Vinny, our friend Bill Koenig, the Spy Command on Twitter, came in, and I know we've been comping the Bears and Lions here, and apparently Bill has too. So Bill asked, is it possible the Bears have devolved into a somewhat glitzier version of the Lions? The Bears are a bigger market, but the dynamics and endless loop of frustration seem very similar. Endless loop of frustration is definitely accurate, I would say. And a lot of those numbers you rattled off before, Vinny, are very close to one another. So,
yeah, I agree. Bill nailed it right on the head. I think that the Bears are a glitzier version. They're the charter franchise of the NFL, but they are just as successful as the Lions. I think it is, but I think that's the best way to put it. They're a glitzier version of the Lions, but he nailed it right on the head there.
Congrats though, Bill. His really quick, his Bengals are going to the postseason though, because he is a Bengals fan, even though he's from the out from the Michigan area. So, good luck.
He's a smart fan. He's like, nope, I'm not going to pick the Lions. An unglitzier version of the Bears. I'm going to pick the Bengals, which they've had their own problems too. But good for the Bengals making the playoffs, and Joe Burrow. That guy's pretty exciting. So an exciting team. Although the Bears did beat them.
The Bears did beat them, yeah. But Jamar Chase looks like he might win Offensive Rookie of the Year, possibly. You're definitely a strong candidate. So either way, right now, we are in the hunt again for Bears head coach and GM with a young quarterback on the rise, hopefully. So it's a very, very interesting time for the Bears. Very uncertain, very scary, very nerve wracking, very just like, what's going to be the next thing right now.
Yep.
So, you have anything else on the Bears that you wanted to share, Vinny?
I don't, but yeah, I don't. It was about all I could muster up there, and I'm gonna have to get sick after this.
Well, you did warn us not to have a large meal before we had to listen to everything here, and that's probably good advice, because I was not expecting what you had to say. That definitely, a lot of that threw me for a loop, and it was a lot worse than I thought it was going to be. So within this, within our lifespan, pretty much, because I think we're both turning 33 in the next couple months right here. So this is this is going to be interesting.
I will add, for the GM search, one guy that I am interested in is former GM of the Houston Texans, Rick Smith.
Okay.
He actually stepped away. It wasn't that he was fired. He stepped away from the game to take care of his wife, who was battling cancer. She ended up not winning that battle, passed away in 2019. And supposedly he's ready to get back in the NFL.
Okay.
He, his, one of his big things before he left was he moved up in the draft to take Deshaun Watson. So the guy makes some good moves. They also did some, they were also pretty successful there during his tenure. I want to say it's like 06, 07 maybe. So yeah, he was pretty successful. 06 to 2017 is when he was GM. So they were pretty successful with Arian Foster and guys like that, even though they didn't quarterback JJ Watt. So he's a name that's cropped up. I'd be that'd be a guy that I would like to see. He's had some success at being a GM. It wasn't that he got canned for being bad. He actually stepped away. So
personal reasons,
So you go that route. That'd be good. I don't want to see for Coach Doug Peterson. He had one fluky season as a coach. He comes from the Andy Reid tree. He was a mentor to Mr. Nagy himself, Mr. Thousand playbook guy. So I don't need to see that retread reboot.
Is it too much to ask for the Bears, for a prerequisite for the Bears head coach never to have met Matt Nagy? I mean, can we just is that just for the best? So
most other teams are like, hey, have you met Sean McVay? Okay, yeah, you're hired. Okay.
You're hired. Right. We search for the offensive genius and we find the dud. So even Cliff Kingsbury making Matt Nagy look the fool. So because his team's going to the playoffs. So I really quick, one last thing I want to ask you, and I don't know much about a lot of these GM guys. A name I heard on a podcast today, and then a name that a fella I've worked with for the past couple of years now, and he's been actually clamoring for this guy to be the Bears' next general manager, is Louis Riddick. Any thoughts on that?
I've heard that name crop up too. I don't see him on the list for GM candidates that they're interviewing, but yeah, he does play-by-play.
He definitely does commentary on Monday night, I believe it is. So
I think so. Yep. I haven't seen his name crop up at all for the GM search here. No, but I've heard that the guy's really smart, but it's tough to know. He's not with a team. He's not doing scouting. So
right, he's not in a front office or management position, or ever has been.
Not that I know of. But if he gets an interview, okay. If it goes well, okay. I just want him to hire the right guy. Just hire about his knowledge. How do the Pittsburgh Steelers in my entire life have two coaches?
Howard and Tomlin, pretty much. Yeah, right. Man,
I just want some kind of sustained success here for the next 10 years. I guess that's maybe too much to ask for. Maybe 6-7 years. I don't know. I just something. This
3 years.
Garbage has been going on. Trestman, Fox, Nagy, Dick Duran, Dave Wanstead,
Who's been pissing me off on the radio lately? Wani. Sorry, Wani. Normally really like you, but some of those comments I couldn't stomach. Because that's what happens when you talk about the Bears, I suppose. But that is manures of the Midway. Like I said, very interesting time for the Bears. Definitely kind of like I'd say thing we're probably paying attention to the most in Chicago sports specifically. I know I've been watching a little more of the Bulls lately, even though they got destroyed by the Nets yesterday in that second half and I fell asleep. But with baseball being completely dead and me ready to renounce fandom, and I can't wait to see what the MLB TV package is this year, because of history, it will not go down in price. And if there is no season, there will be no refund if you buy it. So I mean, that is just a complete stoogery of Major League Baseball. So they're just, who knows what the hell kind of agreement they're getting on. So Vinny's going to keep you updated on the Bears. We'll be talking about on the podcast best we can. We got the Blackhawks back on the ice. We might mix in a little Bulls and just whatever kind of news that crops up. We will be here to chat about it. So we'll see, but definitely we'll keep you updated on this Bears head coach and general manager search. So that has been the episode for today, episode 38 of Baseball and Whatever. Vinny, thanks for jumping on today. I know it was the two of us, but I think we pulled it off, right?
I think so.
You miss Justin. Hopefully he's listening to this. I will be sending them to him this soon. The three of us should be back together next week. Hopefully Justin figures out because he's got the fiber now, but ever since he's had nothing but trouble with it. Yeah. I'm still on like AT&T like broadband over here, and the only reason my tech sucks is because of my computer. The internet's fine. The hardware is shit. So, but that is neither here or there. Vinny, any final comments about baseball, football, hockey, basketball, MLB The Show, Batman, Boba Fett? Anything you want to say to the fine folks?
No, but we didn't mention that the universal DH was in the talks, and I guess both sides were very positive about that. The players union just doesn't want it attached to some other stipulation. So universal DH probably going to be coming to the NL
back. Yeah. So that makes sense. I've been on board with that. Yep. And it just makes sense for both sides to agree on that. I mean, that's just one of those things that benefits everyone. But of course, the MLB is, weary about everything. Like, I mean, here, if you ask me, like the MLB is done, and I'm like, I gravitate more towards the player side, obviously. But like I said, sometimes it's hard to root against billionaires versus millionaires, especially when the main thing of this is how to spend where to place the money pretty much. Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's just kind of like the age old thing. Whatever kind of CBA, whatever kind of agreement is reached, I think, the league and the owners will find a way to manipulate the system that the PA hasn't thought about yet. I mean, that is just, and the PA is aware of that, but it's almost like, well, they can't, what are they going to figure out when nothing's agreed upon? Like, how are they going to cheat this? How are they going to cheat? I mean, it's just kind of like the ugly side of it. If it's too drastic, the MLB owners and league won't bite on it. So nope. Just a lot of shit right now. So, but we'll keep track of it. Some of it's getting really boring to read about, but this has been Baseball and Whatever, episode 38. Tune in next week. Follow us on Twitter, obviously, at Baseball and What. Email baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Please send in some text. We love to read your text. The text line is area code 913-808-3278 or 913-808-3278 BART. Oh, felt so good. Vinny, it's been a blast. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun doing this tonight with you. He's Vincent Francis Jankowicz the fourth. I am Greg Probst the first. This has been Baseball and Whatever, part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, bellyupsports.com. We will see you next week. Have a great night, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.
See ya.